All right, so one of the things that I read in 2022 was The Mayor of Castro Street, The Life and Times of Harvey Milk. And so I definitely suggest reading this book. I thought it was really good. And, it's very informative, obviously. It's very engaging to read. I was almost never bored with it, and you can tell the author did a lot of really good research into the events that happened, surrounding Harvey Milk's life. So, so background. I picked this up at the Diversity Lounge in my college because I'm part of Glow Club, which is gay, lesbian, or whatever. I'm the whatever, obviously, because I'm aromantic. So basically, I picked this book up because I thought it was interesting, and I sort of knew a little bit about like Harvey Milk and all the stuff going on in San Francisco, but I didn't know a ton, so I sort of picked it up because I thought it'd be interesting to read more about. And yeah, it was very interesting because Harvey Milk is just a very fascinating person in how he evolved over the course of his life, because it's like you hear these things about him and like what he did and the sort of activist he was, and then like you read about how he was as a young adult, and it's like crazy to think about how he changed so much from when he was younger to when he was much older near the end of his life, and like to imagine him as the like out and proud gay left-wing activist that he became, like with him being like a closeted conservative in his like youth. It's just yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about. And like yeah, but the book gives you really gives you a lot of insight into how and why he ended up making the changes he did in his life and his beliefs, and it's really interesting to read. So I definitely recommend this book if you want to know more about Harvey Milk and everything that happened with him, and sort of his changing perspective on a lot of things throughout the course of his life. And in addition to Milk, this book really gets into the history and culture of San Francisco and how the gay culture that evolved there grew to be so prevalent as it was. And it's also really interesting. Like I really liked reading about how and why sort of the gay rights movement was so prevalent in the city of San Francisco. And I don't know, it's just it's just really interesting to read because I never learned any of this stuff. I never learned about any of this stuff in freaking Catholic school. Like I was never educated on this kind of history. So yeah, anyway, and it's just very inspirational seeing how like a group of people who were like so incredibly oppressed and like beaten down by the system still managed to like sort of overcome the hatred and bigotry and make their voices heard in this city. And so it's like yeah, and so yeah, that's really cool. I really liked reading about that. And it just like, oh my gosh, it just gets you like so incredibly angry reading the details of the trial for the murder of Harvey Milk, and how basically and how everything went down with like Dan White basically literally got away with murder, and like was basically he murdered these two people who were elected officials, who there was like calls to make the death penalty mandatory for like the murder of elected officials in San Francisco or whatever the county was. I don't remember, but that was a detail in the book. But then like this guy who actually does murder the mayor and Supervisor Harvey Milk, like he just basically the charges against him were not murder charges, and it's just like it's so insane that that actually happened. Where like it just goes to show how even in like literally the most pro-gay city in the country, like justice still could not be served for the murder of a gay elected official. I mean, it's just, oh my gosh, it's just ridiculous, and like so yeah, it really gets you angry reading it. But yeah, I mean, like overall, this book was really good. Like I said, I definitely recommend reading it. If you want to know more about the life and times of Harvey Milk and about the gay movement in San Francisco. But yeah, anyway, that's what I thought about the book. If you have any thoughts, leave down in the comments below. This has been the Aromantic Shipper. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, remember, just because you can't feel love doesn't mean you shouldn't want other people to. Bye.